Welcome to Come Get Woo Woo. We're your hosts, Becky and Ro, here to hold space for the unseen, the unspoken, and the deeply felt. This is a place for seekers, for those who sense that there's more, for those who hear between the words, feel beyond the room, and know without knowing why.
Together, we'll explore the language of spirit, the clarity of your clairs, and the signs that rise up when you're ready to notice. You're not imagining it, you're remembering it. This is Come Get Woo Woo.
What if the very shadows you've been learning to sit with are actively projecting themselves onto the walls of your daily life, transforming the physical world into a massive 3D theater for your soul? And what if the next step to your awakening isn't about diving deeper inward, but realize the entire universe is a fluid, responsive canvas that simply cannot help but echo the internal architecture back at you in real time? If you've ever stepped out of a season of deep inner work only to find old patterns waiting for you at your office desk under a different name, felt the jarring shock of an everyday trigger that completely mirrors an ancient core belief you thought you buried, or look at the chaotic final frames of a situation breaking out right after you choose a new story, then this episode's for you. Hey, woo-woo seekers, welcome back to Come Get Woo-woo with Becky and Ro. I'm Becky.
And I'm Ro. Today we're taking everything we unpacked in the shadow realm and watching how it beautifully, dynamically translates into imagery right in front of our eyes. We are moving into the mirror realm, the functional state of existence where your internal consciousness meets and organizes the physical world. We're going to be talking about the slide projector model of reality, understanding how the deep, sustained baseline melodies of your subconscious mind form the steady architecture of your day, and why trying to force a reflection to change without changing the film reel inside the projector is the ultimate source of human exhaustion. We're going to show you exactly what happens after you do the shadow work, how to navigate the ghost frames and the cosmic final exams that break out during the cleanup phase of the mirror, and why chaos is often the very last thing you see right before reality shifts completely. Finally, we're going to draw a fierce protective boundary line against the spiritual gaslighting that weaponizes this wisdom against the people in pain, and instead share a gentle practice we call the mirror inquiry. 3 simple checkpoints to help you read any daily friction, turn the camera around, and reclaim the energy that belongs to you. This is the most interactive layer of existence. Long before the universe became dense, it was a perfectly still liquid pool waiting to turn your unseen energy into a visible roadside.
Before we dive all the way into the glass, we want to pause for just a quick moment. If you have any questions or stories you'd like to share, email us at comegetwoowoo@gmail.com. If you've been enjoying this journey with us, if something has resonated or supported you, we truly appreciate you following the podcast or leaving a review. It helps more than you know.
Those likes, reviews, and subscriptions really do make a difference. They help this podcast reach more people who are curious, open, or just starting their own path. And that's something we really care about, getting this into the ears of the seekers who need it. So thank you for being part of helping this grow. The perspectives shared in this episode are explored through the spiritual and seeker-based lens. Our intention is to inspire curiosity, reflection, and conversation as we journey through the concepts of the mirror realm together. This content is shared for entertainment and personal exploration purposes and is not intended to replace professional, psychological, medical, or mental health guidance. So, Becky, what is the mirror realm?
Well, the mirror realm isn't a physical location, it is a fundamental state of existence. It is the living, breathing, dynamic interface where your internal consciousness meets the physical world. Think of it as the active, shimmery layer of reality where your unseen energy drops its weight and beautifully transforms into imagery. It's the mechanism that proves what you hold within cannot help but shape what is without. So I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever had one of those days where you look at the world and it feels like it's your own private thoughts or your deepest unspoken fears that are literally staring right back at you from the street corner? That is the mirror realm, waking up your awareness. At first, it starts off small. You think of an old friend, and 3 minutes later, their name flashes on your phone. You feel a sudden and random urge to learn about a specific animal, and suddenly that animal is showing up on your billboards, in your books, and landing on your windowsill. We usually dismiss these moments as random coincidences because it's safer for the mind to think everything out there is just a big, chaotic accident. But as you begin to heighten your awareness, as you become a true seeker, the resolution clears. Those fuzzy accidental coincidences sharpen into high definition synchronicities. The whisper becomes a shout. You start to realize that reality isn't just a cold, dead stage you are walking across. It's actively responding with you. It's a continuous universal feedback loop that is constantly reading your frequencies and echoing it back to you in real time. There are 3 pillars that we're going to go through that uphold this realm. So I'm going to let Ro start it off.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine for a moment that the world around you isn't actually built from hard, cold, unyielding objects. We've been conditioned to look at our lives as if they're carved out of stone, fixed, permanent, and stubborn. But in the mirror realm, we ask you to soften your gaze. Imagine, instead of that, reality is a highly sensitive, perfectly still, liquid surface pooling all around you. Every single thought you whisper to yourself in the dark, every ancient core belief you carry, and every heavy, suppressed emotion you've tried to push down acts exactly like a pebble dropped into the center of a quiet palm. The mirror realm is the resulting ripple effect moving outward into your physical day. Because reality is fluid, the old, rigid boundaries we were taught to believe in completely dissolve. We've been told that our subjective world, our private feelings, anxieties, and heartaches is entirely separate from the objective world, the cold, hard facts of our bills, our schedules, and our physical environment. But the liquid surface shows us they're actually the exact same thing dancing together. They're completely intertwined. When you are feeling deeply blocked, stagnant, or trapped internally, the mirror realm doesn't leave that hidden. It lovingly but clearly mimics it on the outside. It shows you a morning of red lights, canceled appointments, lost keys, and literal walls. It is validating your internal state by turning your invisible feelings into visible, tangible road signs. It is vital to understand that this liquid mirror possesses no malice and it holds absolutely no judgment against you. It doesn't care if what it is reflecting is labeled as good or bad by human hands. It is a beautifully neutral, mechanical feedback loop. It simply, faithfully ripples back exactly what you are emitting into it. If you find yourself vibrating at a heavy, frantic frequency of lack, constantly focus on what is missing, who's left, or what you don't have, the mirror doesn't punish you. It merely honestly provides more things to be lacking to show you exactly where you are standing. It's never saying you are bad. It's always softly saying, look here, look at what you are holding. Wow.
We've talked about this where the mind and your body will always make your words come true. So when you sit there and continue to say, I'm anxious, you become anxious.
Yep.
Very interesting.
It's kind of like you have to watch your words here.
You're absolutely right. You are proving right whatever you choose to believe.
Yep.
So pillar 2 is actually quite extensive. So Ro and I are both going to tackle trying to explain this. To truly understand how the mirror realm operates is to picture yourself sitting alone in an old movie theater. So consider the screen is stretched out in front of you, and this is going to represent the external life. It is your current job, the state of your relationships, the exact numbers sitting in your bank account, or the daily events that cross your path. Now, the projector is going to be softly humming behind you, but it's vast. This is a hidden landscape of your subconscious mind. So, your thoughts. The film reel spinning inside of your collection is those are going to be your core beliefs, the ancient stories you've told about who you are and the archetypes you carry deep within your bones. The mirror realm itself is the light beam cutting through the darkness of the room. It is the active moving progress of your internal film being projected on that wide 3D screen in the physical world. Now, think about how most of us were taught to navigate life. When we don't like the movie playing out in front of us, when the relationship turns toxic, finances dry up, or the business deal falls through, what do we do instinctively? We rush up to the stage. We throw our bodies against the screen. We frantically scrubbing at the spots and tearing at the fabric, yelling at the characters, and desperately trying to rearrange every pixel, hoping against hope that the story will change. It is utterly exhausting. It's a specialized kind of human suffering, trying to force a reflection to change while keeping the source exactly the same. The mirror realm steps in to offer a gentler, deeper validating truth. You cannot change the movie by attacking the screen. You can only ever change the image you are turning around, walking away from the stage and stepping back into the projection booth to tenderly change the film inside the projector. But let's be real about what's happening when you first realize this. There is a distinct jarring shock to the system when the seeker first connects these dots. You sit back in the movie theater seat and you look at the situation of your life and you realize, oh my God, if that screen is just a reflection of my internal film, then I am the one running this movie. I am projecting this. It's easy for you to panic or feel overwhelmed when you hit this stage. And then suddenly you're in your head and you're thinking, great, so if I have one bad thought, am I creating a disaster? Do I seriously have to stay positive every second just to keep my life together? If you feel that tightness in your chest, just take a deep breath and let your shoulders drop. The universe is so much more intelligent and loving than that. The mirror realm isn't a trap door. It is a beautiful built-in safety buffer. Think of the 3D world as a very dense, very heavy screen. It requires a massive, sustained amount of light to alter it. Because of this natural density, reality is a built-in time lag. Your fleeting human anxieties, your bad moods, your temporary doubts don't instantly manifest onto the screen like a cartoon. The film has to run through the projector repeatedly for a pattern to take root. The buffer time is there to protect you. It ensures that only the deep, sustained melodies of your subconscious, the core scripts you carry over time from the steady architecture of your reality. You are completely safe to be human, to be messy, and to explore your inner world without needing to be flawlessly perfect. You have time to walk back to the projector room, examine your reel, and gently choose a new story. I don't even know how to explain it, but there's almost a release, like the anxiety of trying to be perfect. If I'm this superhuman and I forgive everyone, and then you're spiritual, which is so far from the truth.
Yes, like how they say, oh, you're spiritual. Why are you charging? Or how could you say something like that?
Right. You're still human. And it's reassuring that you're not a bad person because you have one bad thought.
Right.
It just caught me off guard a little bit. Jenna and I'll watch a movie, and I don't do horror movies, but when I do, and it's like, what are you doing? Quit being stupid. Why are you going back in the house? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's like, I'm sure that I can replay some of the things that have happened in my past. And I'm like, why are you forgiving again? What part of you thinks that that's okay that they're treating you like that? And it's the moment that you actually look at the act as opposed to the result of the act that you can change it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It caught me off guard. Like I said, it's a little bit freeing that you don't have to be perfect, and learning is actually part of the process.
Absolutely. And you know what line really had me is that when patterns are going, the film is running through that projector over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Until you literally can't unsee it,
Mm-hmm.
where you have to do something different.
Yep. Although I wish it was easy. Oh, let me just cut this little piece of film out. Take it away. That would be easy.
The image that I just got when you said that of like me trying to glue every little hair back in. It's like, no, just accept it. And then how can we reframe this?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, I agree. But I know that there's another part of this.
Yes. The first part I'm going over here is the fear of the mind, something that I'm very familiar with. So let's speak directly to a very real and very quiet trap that opens up the moment you realize you are the one running the film projector. It is what we call the trap of this spiritual hypervigilance. You sit back in your theater seat, you look at the screen of your life, and suddenly a wave of intense anxiety hits you. You start thinking, oh my God, if the outer world is a perfect mirror of my inner world, then what happens if I have a dark thought? What happens if I wake up on a Thursday morning feeling anxious, depressed, or completely overwhelmed for 3 hours? Am I splicing a horror movie into my film reel? Am I going to manifest a crisis because I had a bad afternoon? And before you know it, you are policing your own mind. You are standing guard over your thoughts like a prison warden, terrifying yourself every time a human doubt or an old trauma response floats across your consciousness. You force yourself to smile. You layer toxic positivity over your pain, and you try to fake a high vibration because you are terrified the mirror is going to punish you for being human. Please, if you are holding your breath right now, let it out. Take a deep, grounding breath and let your shoulders drop. The universe is an ancient living intelligence. It is not a volatile trapdoor waiting for you to make a mistake. The mirror realm does not react to your fleeting, passing thoughts. It does not look at your temporary bad moods, your moments of grief, or your intrusive anxieties and instantly print them into a physical crisis. If reality worked that way, humanity would have ceased to exist thousands of years ago. The mirror realm does not respond to erratic static of your daily surface thoughts. It responds to the deep, sustained baseline melody of your subconscious mind. Think of it like a massive ocean. On the surface, there are always choppy waves, storms, and whitecaps. That is in your daily human mind, reacting to the weather of the world. But down in the depths, miles below the surface, there is a steady, powerful, unyielding undercurrent. That undercurrent is your daily collection of core scripts, your ancient structural beliefs about whether you are safe, whether you are worthy, and how the universe operates. The mirror reads the deep undercurrent, not the surface waves. You are completely safe to have a messy day. You are completely permitted to sit on your kitchen floor and cry, to feel angry, or to sit with your grief for a week. The universe has built a beautiful, heavy safety buffer into the 3D world, a forgiving time lag that ensures your passing human emotions have time to move through you without destroying the landscape. The mirror isn't asking you to be flawless, robotic saint. It is simply asking you to be honest about the deep melody you return when the storm passes.
When you first started talking and you were talking about the hidden depths, and I got a mental scene in my head. I know that you watched Friends at one point in time, and it's the one of Ross. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. That is what I was hearing because I used to say it. I'm like, no, I'm fine. Everything's fine. You know, clients had asked me how life is going. I'd be like, oh, everything's great. I can actually say that I'm living my best life right now, and I believe it, and I actually am living it.
Wow. See, that's the core undercurrents of your life right now.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're feeling it.
Right. But it took me to actually understand that I'm fine wasn't fine at all.
Mm.
So I had to readjust that film line, if you will. Yeah.
I've said that myself too. Oh, everything's great.
Yeah.
When it's not.
Well, and here's the thing for me, when I was saying I'm fine, is because everybody has burdens. And I didn't want to add to theirs. Because I, at the time, didn't think that mine was as big. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people do that. They don't want to burden others with their problems, or sometimes they don't even want to say their problems out loud.
Oh, yeah. So I can actually go into third and final pillar. When you step into this fluid, projected awareness, the entire landscape of your daily interactions undergoes a massive shift. Other people completely lose their status as random strangers, passing phantoms, or accidental background characters in your life. They suddenly become living, breathing fragments of your very self walking around in different bodies. So the first one, every person you interact with, the demanding boss, the overly sensitive friend, the stranger who smiles at you in line, is a piece of your own psyche playing a part on your stage so you can finally see it. The traits you find most magnetic, dazzling, and beautiful in others aren't actually theirs alone. They are your own dormant strengths, your own hidden greatness waking up and calling out to you. On the flip side, the traits that drive you absolutely crazy, the ones you find the most revolting or frustrating, are your own shadow aspects. The mirror realm isn't bringing those difficult people into your life to torture you or ruin your day. It is bringing them into the immediate field of vision so you can finally see those disowned parts of yourself, wrap them in compassion, and bring them home to be healed. This reflective language doesn't just stop with human faces. It breathes through everything. The definition expands deeply into the mineral realm and the animal realm, proving that the entire earth is participating in the conversation. When the animal breaks its path to enter your field, whether it's a hawk circling overhead 3 times during a difficult decision, or a stray cat that looks you dead in the eye on the morning you feel completely isolated. That is the mirror realm using the living, breathing messenger. Animals are mirrors with their own will. They are the universe stepping up the volume on a text message because the subtle thought wasn't enough to get your attention. It's the physical world using its everyday props to whisper a specific, timely, and deeply personal truth directly into your heart. Which I laugh because this weekend I had girlfriends here, and we had an eagle literally in a span of an hour and a half fly over us 4 times.
Oh,
Because for me, eagles are always wisdom. That's where I always go with it. And soaring and transformation. And we've talked about eagles being more of a perspective because it's higher up. And so that I also consulted my animal spirit deck. And it was a very healing weekend this weekend with my girlfriends. And when you know it, the card reads about transformation.
oh.
Mm-hmm. So it's very
What is a 4 in numerology?
home and family. It was beautiful.
Very cool.
Yeah. So when you look at these 3 pillars together, you realize that you're defining something much larger than the metaphysical theory. The mirror realm acts like the great conversation. It is the constant, silent, and deeply intimate dialogue between the within and the without. It is the ultimate cosmic comfort because it proves that you're never really truly alone. And you never have been. The universe is constantly, faithfully whispering your own truth back at you through every person you meet, every place that you walk, every beautiful coincidence that greets you on your path.
Oh, I just love that.
I do too. I think it is a perfect way to sum it all up.
Agreed. Should I go over the shadow in the mirror?
I would love to know what the shadow is.
So, when we bring the shadow into the mirror realm, the conversation shifts. It moves away from the lighthearted joy of fun coincidences and steps gently, courageously into the deep and often uncomfortable work of self-integration. In this sacred space, the shadow is simply everything you've judged, denied, or pushed down into the basement of your subconscious because it didn't fit in the preferred identity you were told to wear. But the mirror realm is too loving to let those parts stay buried in the dark. It insists on bringing them into the light. And it does this by handing those hidden fragments to the people around you, letting them hold them up so you can finally see them. The most common way the shadow shows up in your mirror is through an emotional trigger. When someone's behavior creates an outsized, visceral reaction inside you, something that goes far beyond simple annoyance that pulls at your chest, that is the mirror reflecting a forgotten fragment of your soul. So the first one is, if you pride yourself on being entirely selfless, always giving until you are empty, you might find yourself deeply infuriated by someone who is unapologetically selfish. The mirror isn't validating their behavior. It is gently showing you your own repressed need to set boundaries, to say no, and to take care of yourself. And the next, it is a natural human defense to take the ugly traits we refuse to see in ourselves and pin them onto someone else like a badge. It feels so much easier, so much safer to judge a coworker for being arrogant than to sit with the quiet truth that We have an unfilled desire for recognition that we've been too afraid to ask for.
So to continue this, I'm going to go over the golden shadow. So this is the beautiful misconception that the shadow work is only about the heavy, dark corners of your psyche. We are just as quick to repress our power, our brilliance, and our wild creativity. If we were taught early on that those things made us too much, too loud, or too boastful, if you find yourself deeply admiring, envying, or even obsessing over somebody else's magnificent talent, you are directly looking at your golden shadow. You have placed your own light on a pedestal and given somebody else credit for holding it. The next is going to be comforting the truth. The comforting truth of the mirror realm is that you can only recognize greatness in somebody else if that exact same frequency already lives inside of you. The radio can only play the station that it is tuned into. The mirror is looking at you through their eyes and whispering, you recognize this brilliance because you are the brilliance. We are so quick to look at somebody else's radiant creativity or their effortless confidence and say, wow, they are amazing. I could never do that. But the mirror is absolute. You literally cannot perceive a frequency in someone else unless that exact radio station is already wired inside your own soul. You aren't just projecting your basements, you are projecting your attics. So the next time you find yourself deeply admiring someone, stop deflecting. Take a breath, look at the glass, and dare yourself and say, thank you for showing me my own hidden light. I claim that greatness because if it wasn't in me, I wouldn't be able to see it in you.
The next we have is the broken mirror. When we close our eyes to a shadow aspect and refuse to look at what is being shown to us, the mirror realm doesn't turn away. It simply gets louder. This is where we encounter those painful, exhausting feedback loops that make us feel trapped. It is the experience of leaving a toxic job, feeling a sense of relief, only to find the exact same villain waiting for you at your desk at your new company. It's ending a relationship with someone who drained you, only to find yourself dating an identical energy 3 months later under a different name. It is so important to validate how exhausting this feels. But know this, the mirror is never trying to punish you. It is actually trying to be efficient. It loves you enough to keep presenting the same character in a different mask over and over until you look at the past mask and recognize that common denominator is your own internal shadow fragment asking to come home.
I love this section. I have a different perspective on how I see other people. I'm going to start paying more attention, and I know I said it, about how I react to other people.
Yes, I really loved the part on the golden shadow.
Me too.
That was my favorite part.
Me too. I was like, wow.
I would have never thought of it that way. Like admiring someone, but it's really you're looking at yourself as well.
You know, I think back to the first class that we ever did.
Mm-hmm.
And I look back and how much I envied every single person that had like a book to tell, and that first exercise that we did. And there was like, I got maybe a half dozen. I got nothing hardly at all, right? And then some people in our class were like spewing out like books, and they have such accurate. And I'm like, oh man, I so want to do that. But now looking at it, you're in a mentorship going on, right?
Yep.
And you know that some of those students look at you and say, Oh my gosh, I wish I could get as much. And that's where it took me.
I don't know if anybody's saying that about me, but
But they are, because, well, in you and I, we just had a reading. There was something that was said, and your ability to see feet first, it's because you're getting help from fairies, and fairies are little. So their perspective is feet first. And that clicked for you. And it resonated. It was like, made so much more sense.
it did.
But that's what I'm talking about, is looking at this from that golden shadow. If you see somebody that you admire, it's because you have it in you. You just haven't awakened it yet.
Or you don't believe in it yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's the core thing that it's trying to tell you, is don't discount your admiration in somebody else, because you carry that. Otherwise, you wouldn't even see it.
Yep. Yeah. I just love that part.
No, I did. I did the trigger thing. I had a thought on that too. I think they're talking about it is more of I envy somebody that has the ability to say no and is comfortable with it. Because there's a lot of times I say yes and I mean no.
Me too. I have my hand up. Yes, me too.
I really enjoyed this segment. Now let's talk about what happens when you actually do the work. You do the shadow scan. You sit with the projector. You tenderly take out the old film reel of a toxic pattern, and you splice it in a beautiful, courageous new story of boundaries and self-worth and sovereignty. And you step out of the projection booth. You sit back down in your theater chair, and you expect the scene to immediately show beautiful, peaceful landscape. But instead, absolute chaos breaks out on the screen. Out of nowhere, your toxic ex texts you a manipulative message, your car breaks down, your boss dumps an unfair amount of work on your desk, and your old financial insecurity flares up with a sudden unexpected bill. It is that exact moment where most seekers throw their hands up in absolute despair. They look at the screen and they cry, I knew it. This metaphysical stuff doesn't work. I did the shadow work. I integrated the pattern. And look, the mess is still right here. In fact, it's worse. We want to prepare your heart for this exact moment, because this is not the sign that you have failed. This is what we call the cleanup phase of the mirror realm. Remember, the physical world is dense and it operates on a heavy time lag. When you change the film inside the projector, there is still physical distance between the lens and the screen. There is still several feet of old film reel that have already passed through the lens and are currently traveling through the air as light. And those are the ghost frames. The universe is literally running the last remaining frames of your old story through the system to clear the line, and is clearing the cache. But there is a secondary, deeply scarred, sacred purpose for this sudden chaos. It is your cosmic final exam. The mirror realm is holding up the old reflection one last time, not to punish you, but to ask you a profound question. Do you actually believe your new story? Or was it just an affirmation you said when things were easy? When that old toxic energy and that old trigger show up on your screen during the cleanup phase, it is testing your structural integrity. If you look at that old trigger and react the exact way you always have, falling into panic, screaming at the screen, playing the victim, you pull the old film reel right back out of the trash and splice it back into the projector. You restart that loop. But if you can look at the chaotic final frame, breathe through the heat of your body, smile softly at the screen and say, look at that. It's just the ghost frames clearing out. I know who I am now, and I don't belong in that story anymore. Something miraculous happens. You pass the exam. The light clears. The old frames burn out. And the new movie finally takes over the screen. Chaos is often the last thing you see right before a mirror shifts completely. Now, I agree with this 100% because it seems to be, everything's going great. I've done this. And then all of a sudden, shit fucking happens.
So is the case.
Always. I had at one point in time, I'm on my way. This is great. Everything's like beautiful. I've got this going on. I've got this going on. And then I went to sell my house, and you know how that happened. Here I am, literally being accused of all these things. And my sister is screaming, and I'm talking calmly. So I'm like, what do I need to do? I was very calm about it. It was just like, okay, I'm not going to own this. My sister was angry enough for me as it was. I didn't need to do it. But again, it was like, okay. It was kind of like when I chose to leave. Instead of continuing to argue, my favorite line was, well, maybe you're right, and walk away.
Oh.
Because I didn't need to be right anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I know. It was just really cool. I really like this.
Sounds like you passed the exam on both occasions.
Maybe that's why I'm living my best life right now.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I couldn't have agreed with this more as well.
But it does seem like the world is falling sometimes. It's like, what? Well, I know you're feeling it right now because it's like one thing after the other. It's like, really?
Mm-hmm.
But you're doing it?
Yeah, one step at a time, as they say. Mm-hmm. Deal with one thing, the other thing will have to go on the shelf for a little bit, and then we'll deal with that.
And that's all you got?
Mm-hmm. That's all I could do. I don't want to be in the middle of my kitchen floor crying.
You know, there is that saying, if you don't laugh, you want to cry. It's like, those are the two options.
Yeah, I'd rather laugh than cry. Shall I go over integrating with the mirror realm?
Let's hear what you got.
In the mirror realm, the heavy burden of trying to fix, change, or control the person standing in front of you completely dissolves. The goal is much softer, much closer to home. It's simply to reclaim the part of yourself they're representing. The moment you breathe through the discomfort and acknowledge the shadow, saying to yourself, I see. I am also capable of being loud. I also want to be demanding sometimes. I carry that power too. Something miraculous happens. The external person suddenly loses their emotional charge. The friction stops because you have healed the frequency inside yourself. The outer reflection has to shift. The person will either change their behavior entirely or will simply fade out of your life because there is no longer a mirror within you to hold their image. We need to pause and draw an absolute non-negotiable line in the sand. We need to talk about the boundaries of the mirror because there is a very dark, very callous shadow side of modern spiritual spaces that we refuse to bring into this room. It is the trap of spiritual gaslighting and cosmic victim blaming. When people first discover the mechanics of the mirror realm, the truth that our internal world shapes our external reality, a distorted, ego-driven logic can easily take over. People look at someone who is experiencing a profound human tragedy, someone who has been diagnosed with a severe illness, someone who has lost a loved one in an accident, or someone who is suffering under the heavy weight of systemic injustice, poverty, or trauma, and they cruelly say, well, everything is a mirror. You must have been vibrating at a low frequency to call that tragedy into your life. You manifested your own harm. We want to state this as clearly and as fiercely as possible. This is an absolute distortion of the wisdom, and it has no place in a true seeker's heart. The mirror realm is a sacred, intimate tool designed exclusively for your personal self-discovery and your individual relationships with your own subconscious mind. It is a mirror meant for your eyes to help you read your internal map and reclaim your disowned energy. It was never intended to be weaponized as a cosmic gavel to a judge, analyze, or blame another human for their earthly suffering. We do not live in solitary bubble where our mind is the only operating force on earth. We live in a vast, staggering, interconnected web of billions of souls, ancestral lineages, planetary cycles, and collective agreements. We are participating in a massive, grand co-creation. Tragedies happen. Accidents happen. Earthly injustice is real. And the human experience includes seasons of deep, unprovoked grief that have absolutely nothing to do with a low vibration. To tell someone who is hurting that they mirrored their own pain is not spiritual wisdom. It is an ego defense mechanism used by people who are too afraid to admit that the world can be unpredictable and heartbreaking. If you are navigating a season of intense grief, loss, or hardship right now, please hear us. You did not create this tragedy with a bad thought. You are not being punished by the mirror. The mirror realm is not a weapon of self-blame. It is a sanctuary of self-reclamation. In moments of unprovoked human pain, the mirror's job is not to ask how you caused. Its job is to softly ask, now that this landscape is here, how can I hold myself with the deepest compassion? What fragment of my internal strength, my resilience, and my grace in this moment is calling forward into the light? The mirror is here to help serve your healing, never to justify your pain. I hope there are not people out there really, and I'm sure there are, and it's unfortunate, telling other people that they caused their own pain by simply thinking about it.
I mirror your words, because if you're intentionally trying to hurt somebody by using this and turning it back on them, again, going back to the reflection portion that we talked about, if you are a victim of this, know that it's them reflecting their own energy on you, not the other way around. You did nothing. You know, I think back to this story that we talked about last. I didn't do anything to have miscarriages,
Right.
but they happened.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody to blame for it. But it was a wonderful lesson to learn from. And I've dealt with somebody that has severe addiction issues, right? And at one point in time, a member of their family came to me and said to me that I was to blame for that addiction.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That was the start of my journey right about then. My world was imploding, and I could actually look at that person and I said, maybe it is. And I walked away because I didn't need to validate anything, because I knew that what she was projecting on me was her own thought. It was never about me. This was something that took me years to learn. And anybody that is in the position that I was, I hope you learn that lesson. You're never in control of anybody else's actions, ever.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, you can be reacting to their actions, but you can't control anything that they're doing, ever.
Right on, sister.
No, but it's true.
Right. Well, what is that saying? You can take the horse to the water?
You're asking a person that loves metaphors. Bring the horse to the water, but you can't make the horse drink, or something along those lines. Yeah. So you were right on.
I always go back to God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
I love that one. That is absolutely a favorite. Yep.
Do you want to go over the mirror inquiry? Step a little lighter, maybe?
Okay, sounds good. When you step into the truth of this realm, you realize that the everyday friction that catches your spirit isn't a random annoyance. It is highly localized, intuitive signal. It is a prompt to turn the camera around. So the next time someone or something completely gets under your skin, we want to invite you into a very simple practice we call the mirror inquiry. It requires no deep digging, no heavy archaeology. It simply asks you to pause. Look at the glass of your current reality and look into 3 distinct depths of your reflection, the literal mirror. So here's the practice. This is look at the behavior that is triggering you and asking yourself softly, where in my life right now am I acting exactly like this? Often we are doing the exact thing to a partner, to a child, to a friend that this person is doing to us. So then you have repressed mirror. If there is no literal match, look deeper and ask, where am I not allowed to be like this? If you are deeply infuriated by somebody you labeled unapologetically lazy, the mirror isn't validating their behavior. It is showing you your repressed need to set a boundary and rest. It is showing you the exhaustion you've judged as sin. So then there's also the judgment mirror. So finally, look at the trait that you're resisting and ask, what would happen if I allowed myself to hold just 10% more of this energy? If you hate someone for being loud and demanding space, your reflection is gently whispering that you have a beautiful voice and an absolute right to be seen and heard that you've been denying yourself. The moment you breathe through the heat of the trigger and receive the data, the tight defensive knot of your body begins to soften. You aren't condoning bad behaviors in others. You're reclaiming the energy that was trapped inside you. When you stop judging that trait within your own heart, the external version completely loses the emotional hook over you. The behavior might still happen in the room, but it no longer drains your spirit.
I really like these.
It's really a nice bring up, if you will, from the shadow realm. The shadow realm, it has to be messy. It has to be a little darker because it's all the things that we don't want to face.
Yes.
So it's just kind of a lighter hearted.
Shadow realm is more internal, and I feel like the mirror realm is more external.
Yes. And nobody likes to go internal sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm just saying it is a difficult area to go into because you're looking at all the things that you don't want to look at. Mm-hmm. That's why it's so interesting to see it from a different lens. The things that annoy you so intensely about somebody else could be your own personality trying to come out. You might have to revisit some of that. But in the same token, what you admire in somebody, you hold in your hands. You just need to embrace it.
Yes, that's it. Embrace it.
Yeah, this has been a very enlightening episode.
I couldn't agree with you more. As we close this deep dive into the glass, I want you to revisit that mirror we spoke about. Do it tonight when the house is quiet and the world has slowed down. Stand in front of it and look at yourself. But this time, don't just look past the glass into the silent observer of the void. This time, I want you to look at the glass itself. And then I want you to turn around and look at the room behind you. Look at the stack of bills on the counter, the text messages sitting on your phone, the relationships that fill your heart, and even the daily conflicts that get under your skin. That entire landscape, that is your screen, and you are the projector. When you truly realize this, the heavy burden of trying to survive your life completely evaporates. The exhausting scramble to frantically change the pixels on the screen, to yell at the characters, to scrub at the spots, or to fight the circumstances finally stops. You realize you don't have to force the reflection to change. You just have to walk back to the projection booth. Gently take out the old, heavy film reels of your ancient scripts and tenderly splice them into a new story of boundaries, worthiness, and grace. You are no longer a victim of the plot. You are the conscious master of the film. And if the outer screen looks a little chaotic tomorrow morning, if an old trigger pops up or a temporary storm rolls through your day, I want you to take a deep, grounding breath and simply smile softly. Remember that those are just the ghost frames clearing out the old lens. It's just the universe running the last remaining lines of code to clean out the cache. Breathe through the heat. Stand firm in your structural integrity and pass your cosmic final exam. Look at the glass and remember exactly who you are. You are not trying to manipulate the world to find your peace. You are remembering that the whole world is a liquid surface, beautifully and faithfully echoing your true melody right back into your heart. I love this episode. Becky, didn't you do a sacred tree meditation a while back?
It was actually called Mirror Lake, I believe. And it wrapped you around. So you were actually looking at a reflection of yourself in the mirrored lake.
Oh.
And then you were able to go within of what you actually needed. And it was reflecting back on what you needed.
Oh, I'm going to have to listen to that one again.
Yeah.
Especially after this episode.
Right? It takes it to a different level. Mirrors.
I love it. So what are we doing next week?
Well, next week, we leave the structured interface of the mirror realm and step into something most of us experience every single second of every day, yet rarely understand. We are entering the emotional realm. We're moving off the hard glass of a reflection and diving straight into the currents, the waves, and the weather patterns of your internal sea, not as something you have to logically analyze or study, but as something you may have already felt crashing against your shoreline today. It's a profound opportunity to stop running from your feelings and finally notice how they are organizing the very world around you. So join us for another adventure. And here are the words for this week from the Woo Woo Seeker's Journal, A Journey for Your Signs and Symbols, Book 1, Mother and River. See what rises, see what resonates. You can find the meditations for these words on our YouTube channel at Woo Woo Seekers. All the words can be found with direct links in our newsletter at comegetwoowoo.com. And with new meditations released on the first of every month, if you want to deepen your own journey, explore our other meditation series, The Sacred Tree and The Soul's Garden, also available on our YouTube channel at Woo Woo Seekers. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for getting woo-woo with us today. If something sparked a memory a message, or just made you smile, share it with a fellow seeker because the journey is always better when you can grow together. Be sure to find us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Woo Woo Seekers so you can like, follow, and subscribe.
You can also follow us by visiting our website, comegetwoowoo.com. We are so much more than just another podcast. We're building a community of seekers just like us. We love hearing from you. If you've got signs, symbols, or stories that you want to share, email us at woowooseekers@gmail.com. Or any questions about today's episode, you can email us at comegetwoowoo@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and as always, come get woo-woo with us.